Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2019. We always stand. We'll call the meeting to order of our Carver Heights, Montclair area CRA meeting. Can we all bow our heads for a moment of prayer? Father, we thank you today for this wonderful day that you've made to live in a great and a prosperous city. We pray, God, for our CRA representatives that's here to make decisions to improve the neighborhood and our city. We thank you, God, for our city staff, our management, and most of all, the city council that you have to govern this great city. We pray now the decisions we make tonight will be beneficial and that's important to those that are in attendance. We pray that we can find common ground, God, to be, God, just a great, better city than what we already live in. Pray for the troops around the world that are fighting for our freedoms, our first responders that keep us safe on a daily basis. We thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Commissioner Connor?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Item 3 is a resolution of the Carver Heights Montclair Community Redevelopment Agency. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
Resolution of the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the chairman and secretary to execute a resolution approving fiscal year 19 facade, sign, and landscape grant awards and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Commissioner Connor? Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Do you have any comments?
Oh, no.
Commissioner Hurley, you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Dennison?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Connor?
None.
Chairperson Christian?
None at this time. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, third.
Thank you. This time we're moving to our Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. And Mr. Gabbard, if this is your time. Mr. Connor, you and Mr. Gabbard can switch seats, please. Thank you for your service, sir.
Good to see you.
You got it one for me?
Good, how you doing? Good. You all ready for this meeting? Yeah.
Item 2 is we've already done our invocation pledge. Approve our minutes from the September 10th, 2018 meeting. We have a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Galbraith?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Item 3 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the chairman and secretary to execute a resolution approving fiscal year 19 facade, sign, and landscape grant awards and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion from the commission? From the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Commissioner Galbraith?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Dennison?
No.
Commissioner Galbraith?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
No, nothing.
Chairperson Christian?
Nothing. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Third.
So I guess any wait till 5:20 for the for the last one. All right, so Jerry, you can stay around and talk if you like.
Yeah.
For the public, we do have a third CRA meeting that is scheduled to start at 5:20, so we don't want to start too fast. The regular meeting held September 10th, 2018. I entertain a motion at this time.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Item 3 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce.
Thank you.
Has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the U.S. 441-27 Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the chairman and secretary to execute a resolution approving fiscal year 19 facade, sign, and landscape grant awards and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we approve the resolution. Any discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennison?
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing.
Commissioner Hurley?
Nothing.
Chairperson Christian?
Just a comment to the staff. I think it's been a wonderful job. I think it's going to be a great improvement to the quarters for these new sign and facades improvements for our quarters. So I want to say the staff who reached out and helped facilitate the application process. Job well done. That's all I have for tonight. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. And we'll move into our regular city council meeting promptly at 5:30. Good afternoon, everyone. Time now is 5:30. Time now is 5:30, Monday, April 22nd, 2019. We do call the Leesburg City Commission meeting to order. We've already had our invocation, our pledge of allegiance to the flag, and we have a proclamation, Municipal Clerks Week. And I will read this into the record. From the Office of the Mayor, Leesburg, Florida, proclamation. Whereas Municipal Clerks Week was initiated in 1969 by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, and we celebrate its 50th anniversary in 2019. Whereas Municipal Clerks Week is a time of recognition and reflection on the importance of the office of the municipal clerk, a time honored and essential part of local government that exists throughout the world. Whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. Whereas municipal clerks have pledged to ever be mindful of the neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of the state professional organization. And where it is most appropriate that we acknowledge the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk in Florida cities. Now therefore, I, John Christian, Mayor of the City of Leesburg, do hereby proclaim the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as Municipal Clerks Week. I offer congratulations on the 5th anniversary of this observance and further extend appreciation to our City Clerk, J. Andy Purvis, and Deputy Clerk Victoria Park for the vital service they perform and the exemplary dedication to our community. So I present to Andy Purvis. At this time, our staff is vital to our city, and because of their contributions, and they come and do a very fantastic job, our city manager will now recognize years of service. So, Mr. Al
Right.
Wiener.
In the past, the city's recognized some of our employees, and I think it's important that we kind of continue with that tradition. And certain milestones in someone's employment, I think, provide significant steps. And so we wanted to take those opportunities. This evening we have employees who've worked for us for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years, and even a couple who've worked for us for 30 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to recognize you this evening. We're going to go in groups of your years of service. Melissa, if you can stand in the well. And what we're going to do, we're going to call your name out, take a quick picture, and then hit the next group. So with 5 years of service, Mike Andrews from our IT department, Nathan Brown from our recreation department, Alicia Poth, also from our IT department, and John Snow, officer with our police department. Israel Roland, and Sharon Walsh. Israel is with the Public Works Department, and Sharon is with
Thank you.
All right, here you go. Here's a couple of familiar names that I work with on a regular basis on this one. This is 15 years. Tino Anthony, our IT director. James Pugh, the electric director. Andy Carter, our secretary. And Jim Williams, our finance director.
When they get to the 20-year mark, John can get
I ain't been 20, man. I need to be a 20. Keep you in line.
With 20 years of service, I'm just going to give a quick editorial. I actually met this city employee when I was the city manager in Fort Meade. He was one of the first boots on the ground to come out and help us when Hurricane Charlie came through in 2004. And he probably had one of the best nights of sleep he's ever had that night because we were totally not ready for that storm. And so we put up the Leesburg Electric Department and the Fort Meade Police Department and our prison. So that club. And that was almost 20 years ago, wasn't it? Brian Anderchuk with our rec department. Eric Coffey with Public Works. And Leah Lane with our library.
One more, guys. Thank you.
With 25 years of service, Tracy Hodge with the and our very own fire chief, David Johnson. David said his last 4.5 years have been especially the best.
There you go. Thanks. One more, guys. Thank you. Awesome.
And with special honors, we have two employees that we'd like to recognize who've been here 30 years, both from the Recreation Department, Steve Strickland and Hubert Walker.
think the boys know each other? 30 years.
Big smile, guys. Awesome. Thank you.
So again, congratulations, everybody, and I think we all appreciate your service, and we're glad that everybody was able to make it out tonight and get recognition from the City Commission.
Hey, at least. I have some questions about, but I think you're probably not going to cover them, right? Reference the Isles project. I know that's your.
Venetian Isles?
My favorite.
We'll pause for a few moments, let everybody exit, and some few seats will open up.
I've never seen that.
So, basic expression.
Okay.
Sure, Bay Area. That's right. Mr. I start and don't finish.
Okay, our next presentation is presentation 3B is a Venetian Isles project discussion by Tony Benge. Mr. Benge.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving us time tonight to come before you. As you know, we met with the Commissioners one-on-one and have requested that the City of Leesburg partner with us in the Venetian Isle project, which is about to commence. We are very excited about where we stand right now. To give everyone a quick project update, we should have the final mass grading permit from the Water Management District within the next 30 days. Staff has been wonderful to work with. They have seen the preliminary full set of engineering plans that have been submitted. They were kind enough to review and make some preliminary comments, which our engineers immediately addressed, have that turned back in, and we have also submitted the construction plans for the Marriott for staff to do the preliminary review for. So we are very anxious to get going with this underway. And as time has taken a little longer than we had hoped to for this, we've all experienced, as I'm sure the city is painfully familiar with right now, is with the Venetian Gardens, with the tariffs and other things, construction costs have continued to rise, and really what we are faced with now is a situation that we want to be able to develop the level of quality that we think will put Leesburg on an equal footing to compete with the villages. And in order to do that, what we're asking the City of Leesburg to do is work with us in providing a little bit of relief on the impact fees in exchange for a higher quality of development that can help set the standard for that new corridor there in Leesburg. With everything going on with the hospital, all the ancillary work, we feel it will be a huge benefit to the city and really help kick off something unique that Leesburg has. One of the biggest challenges we faced historically is when you do very large projects, you have capital partners that want to see proof that what you're doing is going to work. And a prime example would be with the apartments. The first thing they do is require you to have an independent third-party market study done that says, what does everybody who has apartments in the immediate area, what are they paying in rent? What are the occupancy levels? Things such as this. Leesburg has been very unique in a way that there really are no comps for what we plan on building. And that was the first thing that came back, was they said, we really don't have an apples-to-apples comparison. We think that's a wonderful opportunity for all of us, because this can help set the standard for that. Once the first guy gets in and can establish that the market is in fact viable for that, the balance of the development to come is that much easier because they have a successful benchmark to be judged by. So we've taken the entrepreneurial risk of being that pioneer. And again, we are set and ready to go. The partners, most of whom are local Leesburg residents. We have over $8 million of hard cash invested in the land to date. We've recently closed on the Dabney school site, as well as other parcels surrounding that for Venetian North to go right across. We are very committed to this. We have also purchased several other projects for single-family residential as an ancillary housing that's going to be created with everything new coming with the hospital. We're here to stay, and we're asking the city tonight to please be our partner and help us deliver the quality that we can all be proud of. And with that, I stand prepared to answer any questions you may have or any information I can help.
Okay. How the commission, how you want to proceed? Do you just want to throw some questions out, or?
I had one question. Knowing how projects go sometimes, if we approved this and made the agreement with them, and then they sold this to somebody else, would that agreement follow to the next owners?
Typically, it would, unless it's made personal to this development group. You can structure it so that it doesn't pass if the property is sold.
Okay, because for me, that's going to be the only way I'm on it. And the reason, obviously, I think should be clear. If you sold it for some reason, the next guy may not take it to the level you're promising to take it to. So then we've waived those and ended up with a diminished product. And so for me, that would be the only way I'd be on board.
And we'd absolutely be fine with that, with the only caveat that we want to make sure we disclose to everyone, just as with the apartments, we will be bringing in a partner. We are staying in the deal. We are providing financial, not only are we putting the land in the deal, but we're providing additional equity to that. But we know what we don't know sometimes, and operating an apartment complex is really not our ultimate forte. So on things like that, we will partner with groups, but we will still be a primary owner, equity player, everything in these deals. We just like the assisted living facilities. I know nothing about operating one. Don't want to
Right.
learn on the come. So we will partner with those, but again, we have no intention of selling any land. So as long as it can be written so that we maintain ownership in the deal with the understanding that we will be bringing in some operational partners just to provide the expertise that we do not have, that we would have no issue with that whatsoever.
Okay, I understand, Tony, but what I mean is you're talking about operation, but the only reason we're waiving these impact fees would be to give you that extra monies to be able to take it to a higher quality level of construction,
Absolutely, and again,
not of operation, so.
Yes, sir. I just wanted, for the ownership question, I just wanted everyone to see that you will see transfers for several reasons within that. For instance, the hotel. Venetian Isle Land Development owns the entire project right now. Just from a liability standpoint, tax structure, everything else, you will see 2.7 acres go to an affiliated group, same owners, just different LLC for protection. So again, it's just as long as we can write it that the same partners are involved. Again, we may, just from a liability, if someone falls in an ALF, we don't want to have the liability over the whole project that if something were to happen within that, vice versa. That's just sound real estate strategy.
Sure.
It has no, what you're looking for, we can easily meet that. Yes, we will do it, we will be the ones building it, but again, we just like to be open book that we do bring in operational partners and
And I
things such as
understand
that.
that. You got Marriott and all that. So Fred, for me though, I would just want to make sure that it's in the writing, because we keep saying taking it to the higher level, making it compete with the villages, so we're talking about marble instead of laminate.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm going to make that vote to waive those fees to be able to provide that level, I just want to make sure that whatever we put in their wording, that whatever happens, we're
It's done.
guaranteed that level.
Absolutely, and again, and I'm probably getting into the weeds far more, but yes, we will be involved, and we plan on portfolioing this deal. This is not something we're looking to spin off to third parties.
Who's going? But I mean, who's going to design it? Isn't that you? As far as
We do. For
quality,
instance, the
materials and looks and
absolutely, and again,
architecture?
a prime example is with ALF. We will be the ones. Well, let me even use a better example: the Marriott. We're using a local contractor to build it. The ownership group is the same core group that owns the whole thing. Again, we put it in a separate LLC for liability reasons. We take it through the permitting plans. You will see the plans before the impact fees would ever come into play. And I think this is an important thing for everyone to realize. Your staff has to review the plans and approve them. While they'll comply with every condition within the PUD, you get to see ahead of time really what the actual building is. And the Marriott's kind of the easiest one because you've probably seen a Town Place Suites somewhere else. They're pretty similar exterior design. With that, those impact fees really would not come into play till we come in with each building permit. This is not something you just blanket give away. The city retains the entire control through the spectrum of you see what we're going to propose and build. If we were to come in with a 2-story horrific apartment design, you'd have that time at permitting and go, no, this does not meet what you said you were going to do. Therefore, we don't want to do that.
All right.
So we're not anticipating a blind blank check by this commission by any stretch of the imagination. But what it allows us to do is really go back to the capital groups and everything else that when their studies say you really should build the 2-story smaller product and we say no, we're going to build the nicer one, this helps justify that. And that's why we will bleed as the partners, and we're just asking the city to do that with us. But we do not expect a blind release of control. We fully want you to have that, and we will meet that every time without any concerns.
Okay.
Knowing that this was your plan all along to go back to the city for the impact fees, if you don't get that, are you going to build a lesser value, or what are you going to do with that?
Yes, ma'am. One of the economic realities would be, and I'm going to use this as a scaled down version, the hotel typically has several levels of finishes that can be done within it. I'll give you a real world example. In Apopka, the city of Apopka is doing a joint venture right now with Taurus. Mm-hmm. They have and don't quote me, I believe it's a Hilton, but I think it's the Garden Inn is the flag. They came in and said we have 5 elevations, A being the bells and whistles, Fancy model, the F being plain Jane, cheapest you can build it. Market study came in, they said you need to build a level C. Mayor Nelson looked at that and said, no, this is one of my gateways into my city, I want the A. They ended up working out an impact fee abatement for them to induce that. We see it very similarly here. Would a project get built? Yes. Would it be to the level we want it to be to really be able to compete toe-to-toe with the villages? It would not be the one I would want to present to compete against the villages.
Well, I don't think you need to compete against the villages. You need to help improve Leesburg. We're not in competition with the villages.
I agree completely. What we're seeing is we feel there's an opportunity to set a new standard for development quality within the city, and that's what we're going. That is our goal.
Okay.
One of the other key things, and I want to stress this emphatically, the bulk of the partners in this deal are Leesburg residents. These are people that are going to drive by that site every day. You all know who a lot of the doctors are who are the partners in there. Their sense of pride, they want something they can point to and be proud of. This is not a remote group out of Atlanta or New York that's just trying to run a balance sheet on the back of a cock. These are Leesburg natives. These are your neighbors that want to do this.
Well, the reality for me is that we won't see it at permitting, that'll be at staff level. So I'm going to ask that we do see it before we do vote on the impact fee, that it does come back. And I would like to see you say what Apopka did. This is level C, this is level A, and this is what we're going to build A because of what you've done as a city. Not just sporadically say this is the top notch, which means very little to me because I don't build hotels. So I would like you to come back and do a presentation, say this is what we could have built, this is what we are building, and show us before we do anything further, because we don't see the permitting. You're going to be working with staff, so we vote on that unless Al brings it back. So I'm going to say that I want to see it come back to us so we can see this. People in the audience can see, because they're the taxpayers. They're the one that's paying. They're the one that's going to literally pay for it. And I may be from Leesburg, I may build it, but when it comes to me making $1 or 50 cents, you know, I can make $1 ride by and go to a different direction. So I get all that, but from the taxpayer perspective, I want to see you come and say, this is what we could have built that level C, but because of your impact fee waiver, we built level A. So that works better for me, not just for, I trust our staff, but I think we're the ones making that decision, so.
Actually, Mayor, I think that's a wonderful idea because I think it will be very enlightening to see the differences it makes. And I will not only wholeheartedly agree to that, I will be looking forward to that.
Okay.
I guess, so I mean, you know me, I hate impact fees, so this is great, because then, but in terms of how we fund it, are we still talking about the idea that it would be kind of an internal loan that would then we would use future ad valorem revenues to pay back?
I don't know is the answer. This is what I do know. And I wanted Fred to talk to you a little bit about this and the legalities behind how you waive impact fees or how you subsidize impact fees for development. Because as I understand it, there is no waiver, that the money doesn't go away. It ultimately has to be paid. And the subsidy is there for the developer because the city would absorb that money. In this case, I think that the rough house numbers of the waivers for the apartments and the hotel together is about 1.6 million. I think it's like $500,000 for the hotel, $1 million for the apartments. It's in that ballpark. We have a current waiver policy or discount policy in our ordinance, but it doesn't contemplate anything this substantial. So for us to do something like this, I think Fred's going to advise you that we're going to need to modify the code. So would you pick it up there and kind of...
Well, what the code provides for is financing of impact fees over 5 years, not a reduction, just a stretching out of the payment so you don't cut the check all at once when you get your building permit. What they're asking for is to not pay any impact fees, which means they don't pay it, but because of the way impact fees are structured under the law, somebody has to pay that. And if the city waives impact fees for a developer, then the city has to make that up from some other source of revenue. And it can't be, for instance, if you waive wastewater impact fees, it can't be wastewater revenues because you're just digging one hole and filling the other hole with it. It has to be from general fund or something of that nature, grants, whatever you can get. But the enterprise fund that's not getting the impact fee can't be the one to pay it back, because that doesn't work. So I think if you're going to grant a straight waiver, you probably don't need to amend the code that's been done before. Now, you've passed specific ordinances. I think you waived impact fees for businesses that moved into the mall during some period of time for a limited interval, and that's a much smaller undertaking. But on one like this, it's almost going to have to be custom tailored to the project with an agreement between the parties that specifies the terms of it that Commissioner Hurley was talking about and Mr. Benj was talking about, quality of construction. I can foresee some other things I would want in there, like time of performance. If they don't build within X number of months or years, then the waiver goes away. It doesn't last forever. That sort of thing. But it's going to have to be by an agreement that's hammered out between the parties after the commission approves the concept.
Can we pay it back over time from the general fund?
I think so, yes.
Like spread it over 5 years?
Yeah. And that may require a code revision if you want to do it that way.
What would be something that we can do that doesn't need a code revision?
The flat-out waiver,
You're not recommend, I thought we can't do that.
well, you can, but it has to be paid out of other revenue. So if you don't want to ascribe the
Right, I got
1.6
you.
million all at one time, then we would need a code amendment.
I got you.
To provide for the city,
I got you.
a structure for the city to
Right.
repay that over time.
So the waiver, in that case, you're not waiving it, and it would be just the city stroking the check for X bucks that day. It's not, we wouldn't spread it out. That's how
Yeah,
we
it would
waive
almost be
That's,
as-
we would follow the ordinance, but the city stroking the check, not the developer.
It would
And that
be
would be an
as if- yeah.
agreement,
Yeah.
not an ordinance change.
As if you handed them the 1.6 million the day they pulled the permits, and then they turned around and handed it to the building official.
But from a cash flow standpoint to the city, we can spread it, we can pay it back over 5 years.
Or whatever period you decide on when you amend the code. I wouldn't recommend
Now-
stretching it out any farther than that.
If we do,
No.
let me be, I think I got this. So if, the only thing the code allows us to do right now as a stimulus for development is that the developer pays their impact fees and we spread it out for them over 5 years. That's the recommended course. If we pay the impact fees and follow the code, then we don't need an ordinance, but we would need an agreement between us and the developer, which would either A, the city pays all the impact fees day one, or B, the city spreads it out to us over 5 years. That would be within our prescribed code. If we want to A, waive it altogether, or B, spread it out over a longer term, or C, come up with something different, that will require a code change. The concept of spreading it out over 30 years or 15 years or discount the rate, those things would require an ordinance modification.
Could we follow on, so we already can let a developer pay it over 5 years?
Under certain circumstances, I don't know enough about this project in total to say for sure, but my suspicion is that it does not meet the standards
Okay.
that are now in the code for financing. They're tied primarily to job creation or affordable housing, and I'm not sure this one's going to trigger either threshold.
So then, could we change the code to allow a broader set of criteria to allow the financing,
Sure.
and then ourselves fall under that same code, so it could apply to us or to a developer?
Yeah, that would be a code change, but it would be doable.
Okay. Because I would like, I mean, if another big project came, we would want to let a developer finance it over 5 years. I mean, let's go ahead and at least have the code set up so we could offer it. I mean, this project generates about 170,000 at full build out, I think was my estimate, about 170,000 in ad valorem a year.
Would you do that at 40 million?
Yeah, I did 40 million. That's just ad valorem. I mean, obviously we get some fire fees as well, but I don't know what those are. Probably pretty substantial. Fire.
About 170.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And that does tend to be, if you run a RIMS methodology study, an economic study, we've had Dr. Fishkind do several for us on projects. It seems to always land between 6 to 7 years of repayment of actual tax payment that would offset the impact fees with the projects. It'll vary by a few months, but it's almost, you can almost pinpoint it to a couple months within that frame.
So Fred, Al, what are you recommending to the commission? To come back with some type of code amendment or a recommendation?
If the commission wants to move forward down this road to encourage the development, let me say that different. If the commission wants to move forward with this consideration to increase the quality of development, then let Fred and I kick this around, talk to a couple other cities, see how they've managed it, and we'll come back with a recommendation for you, which we probably can start by the next meeting.
Okay.
And whether that's just an agreement and we work within our existing code, or if that's an ordinance that we would need to modify it. At $1.5 million, my knee-jerk reaction is 5 years is too big a hit to the general fund. It's about, that's a 300 grand hit with 170 in new revenue.
Yeah, and there's some timing issues because you don't get 170 a year.
Right.
Exactly. So that's I think that's a little bit, 300 grand a year to the general fund's a bit of a hit.
Well, I would like you and Fred to think about it.
Let
talk
us
about
kick it around and come up and make a recommendation
7 or
to
8
you.
years might make sense then. I wouldn't want to go 15.
But don't forget, we're not going to put out all that impact fee at the very day one. That's going to be as they file for these different constructions, correct? The hotel, and then the apartments, and then the medical facility. I mean, we wouldn't lay out all that money all at once.
Well, I
What if
think
they
that-
don't complete the project?
Yeah, I think that's something you're going to want to specify in your
Yes.
agreement. So I would think that you would want to have that all done at once, because you're going to want to tell them you want them to build the apartments, you want them to build the motel within X years.
Okay.
And that X years, I would think you want a couple of years, not way out.
Right.
So then, yeah, you will have that impact all at once.
What is the timing?
We would like to, hopefully we will be moving dirt and clearing within 30 to 45 days, and we would like to get the hotel construction started as soon as infrastructure supports it.
And what's the current plan for the apartment and the ALF?
Probably 120 days behind the hotel. Just with
apartments.
infrastructure, the ponds and everything being dug, just site work wise, it's about 120-day delay for the apartments.
Okay.
What's the timeline to complete?
Hotel, you're probably looking at about a year of construction time. Apartments, you're probably 18 months. And of course, those roll. You don't get them all at one time. You
Right.
start getting buildings delivered periodically. So the first building probably within about 9 to 10 months, and then the balance by 18.
So everybody okay with staff coming back?
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll have something for the next meeting.
All right.
At
Tony?
least a verbal report.
Yeah. And if there's anything we can provide, we're more than happy to. So
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
thank you.
All right. Next item is our consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner staff wish to discuss any items, procedures as follows. Pull the items from the consent agenda, vote on remaining items with one roll call vote, and discuss each item pulled by vote by roll call. Any items the commission would like to pull tonight?
4B3, please.
4B3.
For B1 and for C4.
4C4. All right, do you have a motion? Do you have something?
No, I'm fine. I had B1. I'm fine.
Okay. Can you entertain a motion?
Move to approve the remaining items.
A discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. Item 4B1 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce it. Has to be read by Tyrone.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a construction services agreement and subsequent amendments for the Moat Morris House reconstruction project with Evergreen Construction Management, Inc., for a total amount not to exceed $559,754 and providing an effective date.
Have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second?
Second.
All right, discussion, please.
Evergreen's a customer of mine, so I need to abstain.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? From the public?
I had one
Yes, sir.
question. I guess I was just, the reason I was going to pull it is I read this thing over and over, and I guess I was wondering why we are phasing it in. We're spending $559 now. We have all these unknowns. I guess I'm not a construction guy, but I wish I knew. I wish we had a total number now. I guess I'm going to be told that's not possible, but.
Our total, we have an estimate total number of about 1.2 million.
Okay.
As we're using the construction management form again. And
You and I talked about this. I'm still getting used to it.
Speeds it up a little bit, and we don't have the total costs. So we're in the process now of needing to do some basic demolition, some basic setup, and pay the architects out of that fund. So we came up with this number, which we think is going to be imminent expenses. That imminent being, they're going to start to roll in. It doesn't mean we're spending it all in the next month, but we wanted to be able to set up to get Evergreen in there to start doing some basic demolition, to start doing some minor construction, so that we can get to the maximum not to exceed, or the maximum guaranteed price quicker.
Yeah, and you and I have had these conversations. I guess I just continue to struggle with, kind of the open-end, how open-ended these construction contracts are. But I guess, I'm learning the process.
I'd say this particular scenario with the fire damage, that you could get a guaranteed maximum price, but it'd be like $2 million because no one's going to touch it without knowing what's underneath.
Yeah, this is probably a special one here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine then.
DC, you had to add anything?
Well, one of the first things we're going to do, and we're pricing the work right now, is to remove all the plaster off the wall on the interior walls, so that we can find out how much damage happened as the fire went up the walls in between the plaster and the exterior skin. So we need to get a look at it first before we can tell what has to be replaced.
Okay, and I read that, and I do understand that. So.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, DC.
Any other comments from the commission? From the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. Item 4B3 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce.
Go ahead.
I'll introduce and ask for by title only, please.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with WatchGuard, Inc. for the purchase of in-car video systems, software, hardware, and accessories for use by the Leesburg Police Department for a purchase amount of $37,085 and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moving to proper second. Discussion?
I asked this to be pulled because I know that with the body cams and the cameras on the cars and whatnot, one of the biggest things is retention as far as storage and whatnot. Now, I see that they have a public records retention in the agreement with them. Do we have to, after a certain amount of time, start paying them to retain that? Or are they going to do this forever? What is being done with this?
Chief, do you have the specifics on that?
Yes, these are replacement cameras, so it's a program that we've already had.
Okay.
We've had implemented for over 20 years. So Digital Ally was the company they were using before. Now we're using WatchGuard. So as the camera's life expectancy is about 5 years on them, like any electronic equipment. So that's all these are, is we're using grant money from feds and from the county to pay for new replacement camera systems.
How long do they have to retain the films?
So if there's nothing on it, it's 30 days. If it could be flagged, it's up to it could be 90 days. And then if it's of evidentiary value, it's until that evidentiary value is of no use.
Okay.
And so we don't, at this point, the storage is built in, and we have backup upon backup for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, at this point, we're not looking at additional storage.
Okay.
It's covered.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Any comments from the public?
I had one question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just to mention that. So did you not like Digital Ally? Is that...
So they, it's not that we don't like them, they're a lovely company. So they did a modification, I think, like some companies do, and I think maybe tried to do too much. And so the usability on it was went backwards. and WatchGuard is. Kind of moving forward, a lot of agencies are going to WatchGuard, and then WatchGuard also has a more integrative system where we can integrate things in the future if we need to.
Okay, thanks.
Any other commission comments? Public comment? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 4C4 is also a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
Introduced, has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing funding for the facade sign and landscape grant program for projects located within the major corridors and community redevelopment agency areas and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Discussion?
And so I did miss the CRA, which I guess we talked about some of this. Did we talk specifically about the Sokol property that we just did the parking for?
No.
Okay, I don't want to be repetitive for you. That's the only one that I kind of have an issue with. It's a nonprofit bar, so we're not going to get any ad valorem back from the cleanup. I mean, I think it's great. I'm glad they're cleaning up. We just helped them out by not waiving all our parking requirements. I don't feel comfortable giving a grant for something we're not going to get any benefit back from. I shouldn't say any benefit, because of some benefit to clean up. But
How do you have a nonprofit bar?
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
That's the first I've heard of that.
I mean, they're doing GoFundMe's to raise money for all the stuff, which is fine
okay.
if people
I just-
want to do. I just don't know about giving city money to it. That's fine. So I would ask that we pull that.
I thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know about that either, about the bar being nonprofit.
Yeah, I was approached to give material.
I was going to ask how you do that. Okay, so you're using
It's out.
sales tax, okay.
Hi. I think I can answer that. Quite-
Sure.
Quite
Okay.
accidentally, I'm here for something else, but. is
Give
it
us
the
your name.
one-
Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Nettie Lynn Rose, and my address is 128 Queens Drive in Leesburg.
Yes.
Are
Okay.
you talking about the nonprofit bar on 2nd Street by
Yes.
Magnolia? That is, what that is, it's a clubhouse. And it's a clubhouse centered around veterans, firemen, policemen. It's a first responders group. Am I making sense?
Oh yeah.
And that's what that is. That's why it's nonprofit. They will raise money. They have membership. They will have, it's right on it's just being actually built like this week. So, but maybe if you ask me specific questions, I can answer them.
Is it open to the public?
As far as I know, it is, but not, the way it will, and again, I am not on this project, I am just friends with them. The way their project, I believe, is to be working is it's not gonna be a public bar. But if these people have the events, the people, you can buy a membership, but I think the membership might be limited to first responders, family of first responders, and that type of thing. And somebody can't just park there off this and walk in there if they, by themselves. If, to give you an example, I think it's going to resemble, like the Fraternal Order of Eagles. That's what I'm thinking it's going to be like, if that makes sense. And this is totally unplanned. I just happen to know.
That lines with my understanding, and I think it's great that they're raising money for charity and doing that. It's not something I think the city should be getting involved with. I think we did our involvement by waiving the parking requirements
So you're trying to get this going
and
before Bike
getting the
Fest
bar open by Bike Fest.
And again, I am not. This is by accident that I'm here and happen to know these names.
And for me, that's unfortunate because I think when someone's getting money from the city, they should be here so they can defend.
know.
Well, I get it, but I think you shouldn't be up to defending the owner. And I think whenever I asked the
But-
city for anything, I think I was already in the audience making sure that if these questions came up, that I'm going to be able to explain myself. So it's unfortunate you're trying to secondhand explain for someone else, which is not fair to you, and you
Right.
may get some erroneous information that make things even worse. So I think Commissioner Roebuck had a good point, and I do appreciate you,
Okay.
you know,
I mean, I
coming
do
up.
believe they got at least temporary permits to open for Bike Week. I don't think this is.
See, again, you're guessing, so it's
Well, I
good.
know they have temporary permits.
All right.
Let me say that for sure. I hate to be like,
They do, okay.
definite about what's
Right.
really not my business, that I just happen to know them really well.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Do you want me to have them get back to you all, or take any
Well,
message?
we'll make a decision tonight. If this punted to another meeting, then they can come back. But if not, then it may be a moot point. So, Commissioner Roebuck, the ball's back in your court.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend to remove that project from this list.
I'll
Right.
second
We could
that.
always add it back in, I guess, if
Right.
there's some compelling reason to do so.
All right, we got a motion and a second to amend the resolution to exclude J. Sokol facade grant of $5,000. Any questions, comments from the public? Yes, sir.
My only deal about this is, and I definitely understand where Commissioner Roebuck's coming in, because say what you will, nonprofit profit, if you sell it, you're gonna make money. But that's between him and IRS and us and the laws about ad valorem taxes. The only thing I want to just, if we put this in place because we really wanted to clean blight and we really wanted anything new coming in to enhance it, number one. Number two, there's really not much there. I mean, there ain't but about 40 feet that he can even do. And when he was in here talking to us, we were pushing that we really wanted to be landscape pretty, and because we're trying to add. So, we really don't have anything, I don't think, that says what he has to do. And I'd hate for whatever, $100, $1,000, whatever it is, to not have that new thing that everybody's going to be passing, especially if we're talking about 2nd Street being the connector going from here to Venetian Gardens, in a sense, driving and things of that nature. I'm not trying to support his bar, but I am trying to stay consistent with trying to improve our landscape and trying to improve our corridors in downtown is definitely one of the things we've been really working on. So, I don't know that, we waived the parking lot, I agree with all that, but on the other hand, I don't want this to end up being an ugly eyesore because he ran out of money and couldn't do it and we didn't help out, because whatever we do, he has to match. Or whatever he does, we match, whatever it is, but it's 50 grand, isn't it still?
Yes, although he does have to do things because he has a PUD. Well, that's not a PUD, it's a PUD light, whatever it was called that Dan brought up. So he has to do things already. It's in the development agreement.
But he can buy a 3-inch plant instead of a 3-foot plant.
It meets the development agreement, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of on the fence of what, some of y'all want to sway me over one way or the other, help me out here. I'm just wanting it to look nice.
And I agree with Commissioner because it's not a very attractive building, and I agree that's what the grant is actually for, to encourage that. I guess I'm a stickler on, I think you should be here to talk about it. It's to convince, not you, but convince
When
him.
he's down there working and it's over.
I get ready for Bike Fest, and I think,
He can come back. He can come back and convince me. I mean, this is not a.
For $5,000, I think it was worth to stop hammering for a minute, Eugene, to come up and tell us why it's a great project. So, I don't have a problem, yeah or nay, but I think for me, it's just I wish he would have showed up tonight.
I agree with both of you guys.
So we do have an amendment. Any other, Commissioner Peach, anything?
I was just going to throw out an idea. What if we cut it in half? Would it pass? Just, it's not that much money. Would that sway some people? I hear Jay. I want to be supportive. The nonprofit kind of threw me for a loop till that was explained. I appreciate the analogy to a Fraternal Order of Eagles. I did not know that before, but I just thought the idea. Cut it in half and be done with it. He may still be upset with us, but that way we don't have to talk about it again.
No, I'm sorry. It seems suspicious that this is all being done before Bike Fest. And
Well, that's a good thing.
yeah, but what happens with that street with not enough parking or anything? We're going to have the street blocked? I've got problems with this. I really do. And if there's rules that only members can go in there and drink, fine. But why all those bikers are not joining up for the weekend? There's too many things up in the air here.
Well, no, it's not. It's really pretty cut and dry. He's opening up a business, a church, a grocery store, whatever it is, we have a sign grant that says we want you to have signs that meet our code, and we'll encourage you to do a nice sign and pay up to $5,000, no matter what. It could be a lemonade stand. It don't matter to us what it is. We're just trying to encourage it to be nice.
He's done a good job with his other restaurant bar. And,
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be supportive. I just propose cutting it in half. That may go nowhere, and may still be upset with us. I mean, I don't know if that would get any traction.
So does the staff know anything about the time frame if he came back? Because I think he's going to do whatever he's going to do. We're not going to write him a check tomorrow anyway, so.
Mike Rankin, Deputy City Manager. I know John's been on a fast track to open the facility pre-Bike Fest. He's currently installing a handicap ramp as per our code, and he's doing some other things that will get him a TCO for Bike Fest, and he'll come back with the full CO after Bike Fest.
Well, for me, I mean, he would
So
have.
you wouldn't be getting the money for the sign in the next 2 weeks
Right.
anyway, between now and our next commission meeting.
And I'm fine with the amendment coming back, and if he came back next month, 2 weeks from now, I probably would support the 5,000 if he came in and told me. Then we have a chance to look at what he's done. I don't have a problem with that. Just kind of burns me sometimes when people ask for money. We talk about it, they're not even here to explain why they want it or what they're gonna do with it. So, I don't have a problem giving $5,000 to make the building look better, but I just think people should come to the meeting. So, any other discussion? We do have an amendment to remove this one out of the sign grant program. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennison,
This is for removal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
No.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Okay, now the motion on the floor is to approve the remaining items for the sign grant. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 5 is public hearings and non-routine items. 5A is the first reading of an ordinance. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
Introduced and has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 21.05 acres, being generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Plantation Boulevard, lying in Section 36, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date.
Any discussion from the commission on this one?
Yeah, what is this going to cost the city as far as utilities and running out the water out there and everything else?
I think that's all in the developer agreement. Mike, what's the answer on that?
Mike Rankin, Deputy City Manager. This is really an annexation issue. The utilities are there. There's annexing into the city. And I'm doing a very poor job of standing in for Dan tonight. Dan lost a battle with a piece of furniture and then ended up with a concussion, so he's at home recovering.
Wow.
But
So what are you telling me? We don't pay for any of this, or it belongs to the developer, or what?
the developer,
And that's going to be in writing, correct?
you'll have that answer in the next meeting. Yes, ma'am.
I think we have someone here who can maybe answer that. Hey, do you want to come first and then?
This is actually a pre-existing site that Adrian Parker, Land Development Manager, this is a pre-existing site that is in the county with utilities.
Okay.
And they're just wishing at this time to annex into the city. So any additional infrastructure will be at cost of the developer.
Thank you. Since it's my district, I wanted to make sure
Yes,
of
yes,
it.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just for the record, my name is Bill Ray with Ray & Associates, representing the developer. Actually, in this case, this was a project that was in the county. The developer went forward in developing it with the county. He needed utilities. The utility service provider in this area is the City of Leesburg. So we're getting utilities currently in the ground from the City of Leesburg. And so since you all are providing the utilities, it makes sense for it to be within the city limits.
That's not what I just heard. So we have to pay for this?
No, we're building the
Thank you.
facility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? This is first reading. This item will lay over. Item 5B. And also first reading. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending the comprehensive plan for the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing approximately 21.05 acres, being generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Plantation Boulevard, lying in Section 36, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, from Lake County urban low density to City of Leesburg institutional, and providing an effective date.
Any discussion from the commission? This item will also lay over. Item 5C is also first reading. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, rezoning approximately 21.05 plus minus acres to allow for a meditation center in a PUD, planned unit development, zoning, for property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Plantation Boulevard, as legally described in Section 36, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Any discussion? This item will also lay over. Item 6 is information reports. We have a financial reports as of February 2019. Any discussion on that item? The staff have anything of importance? Okay. 7 is city attorney items.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. 8 is city manager items.
No matters.
No matters tonight. Section 9 is public comment. This section reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issue will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Are there any public comments tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you tonight?
Great.
My name is Claudia Standridge, and I live at 3826 Magnolia Drive in Leesburg. That's the Ravenswood subdivision. And we have some issues that need to be brought before you tonight concerning the construction that is going on out there. Mainly it's the road that's going in behind Magnolia Drive. There is so much dirt and dust that it's getting in our homes, it's coming into our swimming pools. They're traveling so fast down that road, the trucks and everything, that they are causing so much clay dust all over. We have got a family up the street who had a heart transplant. He's inside for the week. He can come outside on weekends. We've got children with asthma. We've got people on oxygen, and this is affecting the whole community, because up on Palm Drive, where the big development is, they really get blasted. When the wind blows, it blows everywhere. And we're trying to be good neighbors, and we don't mind that development. But there are quite a few issues that we have with that development. And mainly the dust and the dirt are things that could be resolved. And you know what? The answer's already there. They have a water truck, but will they use it? No, not unless one of us calls the city and complains, then they use the water truck. They need to use that water truck 3 times. First thing in the morning, before they ever start, about 11 o'clock, and then about 3 o'clock before they leave the property. You wouldn't believe the amount of dirt and dust that is going on. The swimming pools are being ruined. Most of them have covers, but the dirt is so thick they can't get the covers off without dirt falling into the pool. So this is just not acceptable. Another thing is we have a problem with the future water drainage on Magnolia Drive. You see, I've lived out there for 17 years, and we had a swamp behind us. All of the water, the rainwater, would flow into the swamp area. Well, now that's where their road is. Okay, they've taken all the trees out. They're building a road there, but what are we going to do with water now? It's going to back up into our properties is what it's going to do. So we'd like to know how they're going to do the flow of the water to get it to the other side where it's still swampy. It's just, you know, quite a mess right there. Plus, I've got some trees that were tagged about 8 weeks ago that should be removed from the backyard. They're already tagged for removal. The roots have been cut so badly that these trees are starting to bend forward. And with the winds we're having, we've already had one, about a 200-foot tree, land on our properties and destroyed 2 sheds. That was a year and a half ago, okay? This one's going to hit our home, okay? We paid for the damage of the other ones. We ain't going to do that anymore, okay? So we're telling you, and I've told them, those trees need to get out of there. One in particular is a dead tree. A third of it has already fallen into our yard. We don't want the rest of it on our house. So that one needs to be addressed. And then we're anxious to see where the entrance road is going to be coming into Ravenswood. They want us to close our road that we have now and join up with theirs. They're not showing us any place where they're going to put our entrance road. I'm afraid it's going to end up on that bicycle trail, which is right near the highway. And for us to leave our community, we're going to have to go out the driveway, turn right, and probably go 1.5 miles and turn around so we can get back out to the main highway. I mean, it's not a pretty picture. So we do have some issues with that. And we have some more, but I'm not going to bore you right now. If you can take care of some of these things I'm addressing, we would appreciate it.
So Ms. Claudia, are you the spokesperson for?
I'm the spokesperson.
The spokesperson, okay.
For the island also.
Have you spoken to the city staff about any of these items?
Which city staff?
Well, this guy right here.
Well,
Yes,
I haven't.
she
I
has.
did speak with Mr. Pedersen about that a couple weeks ago.
And I encouraged her to contact
Ms.
staff.
Stanbridge,
I think I gave her
you
Mike
talked to
Rankin's
me.
name and number.
You talked to me last
Oh,
week.
I did talk. Okay, excuse me.
So can you update us on anything
Yeah,
you found out?
There's a few construction issues going on here, but you know, from the city's perspective, I do think we're managing it to the best we can. Adrian Parker's in constant contact with the developer, as well as Ms. Stanbridge, and, you know, and we do try to get after them as far as the dust goes. They do respond. I don't think there's anything from the dust perspective or the trees perspective that we've looked into that we think is a code violatable type of situation. The water drainage issue, we'll pull up some maps and double check on that. That's the first I heard of that one. And the entrance road was probably already discussed and determined. You all approved the plan. So what we'll do is we'll get back, we'll pull out those maps, we'll have staff contact Ms. Stanbridge. Probably be best to come in and meet with planning and zoning staff, and we'll pull up that plan and go over these for you. I'm going to assume that the water drainage issue is probably a construction issue. That pursuant to their plan, they're supposed to have a drainage plan and that taken care of as part of the subdivision. They're probably not there yet because it's in the midst of construction. So those are 2 new issues, but we'll clarify that with Ms. Stanbridge and whoever we can arrange to have a meeting at P&Z.
Can we check on the tree too, just to make sure
Yeah,
that it won't fall?
We will check on the trees as well.
And one suggestion, maybe we pull up the old maps, we make a few copies, and we can color copies and hand out to some of the residents so they'll know where the entrance road is going to be at. So
We would appreciate that.
So that we can just kind of alleviate. Sometimes people forget something that we voted on 9-10 months ago, and it just may be a concern because they deal with it every day. So maybe we get a few maps we can print out and just give it to some of the residents so they'll at least know what the interests are. And this is Adrian Parker right here. So he's the one that's been kind of. So I think staff is I mean, it's kind of, once we approve the development, it's kind of hard for us to go out and tell them, hey, put a 10-foot fence up to stop the dust from coming because we do the one.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
They already have the answer to the problem, and that is their water truck. They will not use it unless one of us calls. Now, I've got all your phone numbers, and I'm going to call all my neighbors. We have about 50 of us, so if you want calls every day, we'll make them.
I think that's why we get paid the big bucks, so we don't, we don't mind the calls. But I think our staff is here to serve. This is their main job, so I think they're here to serve the residents of Leesburg. So if you're talking to the staff, he's the one's going to kind of point our staff in the right direction. And maybe it will be something dealing with water truck. I can't speak for the developer or our staff, but I think that may be a recommendation that they can offer up. But of course they hear you, and as Mr. Parker said, he's very familiar. I'm sure probably most of our development staff is familiar, so they are working with you and with the developer to make sure we alleviate some of your concerns.
All right, another thing would help also. Do you have any signs, a sign limit at 5 miles per hour that could be installed on their roadway they're putting in? Or do I have the right to make one myself and put it up? I can do that too.
Well, we don't want you to make, yours may not be legal enforceable, so I think our staff will go with our city attorney to make sure that we're doing things legal. Because what we don't want is to have one developer that we're, don't say picking on, but we're treating unfair than other developers. So we would like to make sure that our city attorney and our city staff are exploring these options for you, that when we do things that they're legal and not illegal.
If you're telling me other developers work the way these are doing,
But I don't know if they have the dust issue or they're abutting another neighborhood. But I'm sure that our staff, when they get the call, that they treat all developers the same and equal. What I'm trying to say is that they hear you, and they're going to make sure that they try to mitigate many of the issues that you have. Our staff, he's already written them down, and Adrian's going to do what he's asked to do by staff to help the neighborhood be at peace with the developer.
okay, all right, we'll wait and see what happens.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your concern. Any other public comment?
This is what
So this is what you came for.
Hi, my name is Nettie Rose, and I live in Corley Island Mobile Home Manor. I live 1 block from where the construction is.
Okay.
They do not follow what they say they follow. They have burned, I have video. They have burned on non-burn days. I mean, I have asthma that has not bothered me in decades. And I have had to go to the doctor numerous times. Now I have a nebulizer, Had I been told that this was going to happen, I wouldn't have moved here. I have video of them burning on a non-burn day. I actually stopped a bulldozer and had a whole conversation with the man. They're not supposed to burn on high wind days, and they do. They start the construction with the dust at 4 a.m. The reason I can tell you that is because that's when I start wheezing. I wake up choking when they do that. That's my alarm. Same with the burning. I wake up choking. That's how I know. And the clouds of dust it looks like fog. I mean, I couldn't get the fog on the video because it just, I don't know why, but I couldn't. But if any of you want to see it, I do have probably a 12-minute video of them burning on a non-burn day after they were told to stop by the fire marshal. They don't. They stop for a little while, and then they go back and start burning again.
So our fire chief's back there, you're not enforcing it, chief?
That's not it, that's forestry.
Right.
Forestry's over all burns.
Even inside the city limits?
Yep.
And I've asked to see their construction permits. They tell me they don't have to have any. I don't know if that's true or not. I asked to see their permits, and I was told they don't have to display them. So, but when I stopped the man with the bulldozer, he did tell me the name of the, I have the names of the developers and the construction company, but they don't listen. I don't know what to do. When they start at 4 in the morning, am I supposed to call y'all to wheeze for you over the phone? I don't know what to do.
Well, 4 in the morning, the police department is open and ready for business. So if you got a problem at 4 in the morning, I will alert the police department so they can keep a record on file.
Okay. Absolutely, because I'm not kidding. I mean, it's awful. I live 1 block away.
And I think our staff has heard your concerns, and they will be on high alert to make sure that these problems don't alert you at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I so appreciate that. One day I'm just going to choke and not wake up.
No, that's not. We're not going to allow that to happen.
We'll talk to you after that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. Any other public comment?
Not to keep kicking the horse, but I'm from the same community.
Can you use your name and address, please?
Debbie Cotton, 236 Prince Drive, Leesburg. I paid to have my house washed about 4 months ago. Guess what? It looks, I washed my screens today and my patio furniture, and it looked like mud running out of my driveway. Saturday afternoon, the dust was so bad, you couldn't see up the street. That's how bad it is. We've got people in that park are 60 years old and older. There's numerous of people in there that have breathing problems. I couldn't tell you how many times the rescue and the ambulance have been in there in the last month. It's just unreal. And they're not doing anything about it. I mean, the whole, you can see the whole skyline behind us because there's not one tree back there now. They're butted right up against the houses along Hillcrest there. There's that much space between our house, the houses here, and where they have dug their property line. So, you know, there's nothing there to, we're just in an open area that we have, you know, no repercussion. There's nothing we can do. So they've got to do something about the dust. It's just horrendous. Are they going to come clean my house? Cost me $75 to have it done 4 months ago. You know?
Is this from the city?
And that may be something that we talk to the developer about. And when you're out of town, maybe he'll say, "I'll wash everybody's house once I finish, you know, throwing dust everywhere." Brother Adrian.
Martin Pham, that owns GeoSim, has actually offered that.
Okay.
And I.
So he's the man to talk to.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch.
So just for the residents of Ravenwood and that's Corey Island.
Yeah.
I say the staff is going to be in touch with you, and we'll try to make sure that we don't want you to wash your house 2 or 3 times. Dust may come.
I'm too old.
Yeah. So and as he said, I think the developer has offered to do that. So our staff's going to get with you, and they're going to see what we can do to help you through this difficult situation.
All right. And I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that study has been done on the traffic situation on 27. Good luck with that. When the snowbirds are here, we set on what is that, coming out 25A. But anyway, McConnell's Mills Road. You can sit there 15 minutes when the snowbirds are here, trying to get out in the middle to go north on 27. I mean, the stoplights are going to fix it. I mean, you're going to have stoplights the whole way down through there, but, you know, you get 540 some more houses or 560 more houses. Are they going to have another outlet going out the back onto 470 or 301? Has that ever been discussed?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's time to discuss it.
Yes, because there's only going to be one way in there, one way out. I think that would be something that would have to be addressed because, you know, I mean, we've got 2 ways into our park, but,
Right.
you know, not everybody knows that, so we have no crime. They get in there and they get lost. They don't know how to get out of there, but the residents do. You know, so if you're going to commit a crime, don't do it in Corley Island.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Seeing no, we have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennison?
Yeah, I only had one comment, but after this meeting, the dust and smoke that these folks are putting up with now, we couldn't do anything about Arlington Ridge, which is for 1.5 years, putting up with smoke and pollution and particulate matter and everything else. Now, this is in the city. Why can't we do something for these people? I think this is really horrendous. There's got to be a simple thing, even if you enforce the truck wetting down those roads the 3 times a day they're requesting. But these are our own people in here. We've got to do something. I mean, that's what it's down to. Who wants to buy down here when you have to worry about your health while you're living in your own house? So I really would like to see seriously something done here. If it's not in our code, then let's start making that code enforced. The other thing, the Route 27 traffic, which I actually was going to talk about tonight, I could leave my place on Route 27 and try to get out into the traffic. I can do 55 or 60, which is speeding, I admit it. But how are these people passing me doing 75 and 80 miles an hour coming up? Either we start cracking down on giving tickets, or the speed signs that measure speed and have those for a while, then issue tickets. But somebody's going to be killed out there, and I would prefer it not to be any of our residents. I really would. So that's the second thing. And the third thing, I went to a training session with the fire department about a week or so ago. And by the way, you've been invited to run through that training.
I got that invitation.
And we'll all be over to watch.
Video that.
But one of the important things that was brought up, and I had brought this up before the last budget meetings, was an educational program for the residents, for the employees of Leesburg, the fire, the police, the employees here in City Hall and whatnot and all over. And that's to be able to go back to college, to have some of that refunded. We used to have that program before I was on the board, and it was taken off because of the economic times back in the late 2000s. So I really want to bring this back up again, and I do expect to see some plan for the education of our employees, so that they don't have to try to lay out all the money to go for that when they're trying to improve themselves and working for the city. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, you gonna bring it back next meeting? You got enough time?
It's something I think you probably need to talk about in your FY20 program, but I'll get your report.
Thank you.
Commissioner Peterson?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Just, I know, it seemed like tonight we had a lot of problems come up, but I think we should keep in perspective that they're good problems. They're problems because we're growing, because people want to live in Leesburg. We got new restaurants opening up. We're giving away money to beautify the city. We got a lot of really good stuff going on. So, and anytime you grow, you're going to have problems, and I'm sure we will get them resolved, and Leesburg is going to continue to be a great place to live.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes, let me say, for all those of you who have my phone number, don't call me. Call because I'll just tell you to call Al, so save yourself that call. If it's at 4 in the morning, I don't even have my phone on. And I will echo what Commissioner Roebuck said. One of the differences is, Arlington Ridge is suffering with a never-ending issue because it's a plant.
County.
It's a plant, though. It's work. It's operation. Where as soon as these houses are built, this will remedy itself. And so hopefully, but staff will work on that. So I support everything. I love everybody. Just don't call me.
It's just one company. The road will be paved sometime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
The Conspan Bridge is actually scheduled for the beginning of June, I believe. I sent out an email to most of the upper staff that would get a call about it. So the Conspan Bridge is June, and once that's in, that frontage road, the actual entrance road will be paved.
Okay. Well, that'll help. Okay.
And the mass grading's on schedule. Once the mass grading's done, all of that gets seeded, sodded, and soaked in.
Okay, that's good news.
Mayor Christian?
I just want to echo what Commissioner Roebuck talked about. Our city is growing. Our city is very diverse. As we even hear tonight, we have a different religion that's building on 20 acres in Leesburg that's actually making Leesburg a very more diverse city than we have. And we do have so many restaurants, and people are moving to Leesburg. I think these are the growing pains when trees will get knocked down, roads will get paved, and unfortunately, there will be some discomfort, but we want to make sure we ease as much discomfort as possible. And so I am, commend our staff for working with developers, listen to the citizens' concerns, because as Commissioner Hurley said, our phones are open, but our staff is readily available, not just to hear your call, but to make adjustments and work with developers as soon as possible, and hopefully, when the master sod is done and the pavement is done, that this problem goes away, and you have some great neighbors behind you that will make our city better. And Commissioner Dennison, whenever the chief have his speed traps out, please let me know, because I often see people pulled over on 27 coming to Leesburg when the speed drops from 55 to 45 to 35 really, really quick. I think I've been pulled over a couple times. So So just be careful. This is Bike Week coming up, so everybody please be careful. And if you're not gonna intertwine with Bike Fest, you may want to avoid downtown Leesburg as much as possible, because there will be a lot of people in town. So please, as I try my best, do not text and drive. Pay attention, because we'll have a lot of people from outside of our city who don't know our city streets as well as we do. So just everybody please be careful and be safe. That's all I have for tonight. Motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, everyone.